mean by word trait here?
Sir, characteristics which are inherited by the parent DNA.
Yes. So ultimately, whatever the characteristic you are seeing, let's say hair color or eye color or height, right? Those traits are ultimately due to certain proteins which are getting, which are present actually in the cell of that person. Okay, because of that particular protein only, a particular trait is possible. Here there is a procedure called reverse transcription. Reverse transcription means where RNA can be used as a template to synthesize DNA. Okay, but it does not happen in our body. It happens only in viruses. Or we can do reverse transcription in a test tube in the laboratory. Okay, but reverse transcription does not take place in our body, but replication, transcription, and translation, these three procedures, these three I will say steps, they happens in our body, and because of that only we have the DNA, RNA, and protein. Now coming to protein, so far we have defined DNA, RNA. We know the structure of DNA. We know the structure of RNA. We have just defined these terms. What do you mean by the protein? We know the function of the protein, that it is responsible for a particular trait. But how to define the term protein? Protein basically it is a polymer of amino acid. Okay, polymer of amino acids, and there are 20 unique amino acids which can make the proteins in general. Okay, I have written in general in red. There is a reason for that, because recently like two more amino acids are found, so it becomes then 22, but in general 20 unique amino acids. Those two which are extra, which are recently found, they are present in only in certain proteins or under certain conditions, but these 20, these are the general or standard amino acids. What is the structure of amino acid? It is very simple. You can see that is carbon atom, and it is attached to four different groups: NH3 plus, R, H, and COO minus. And this R is going to be variable here. That means we are saying that we have 20 unique amino acid. That means in each amino acid, this R is going to be different. These are the names of these 20 amino acid. At least you should remember a few names, maybe two or three names according to your convenience, as an example of amino acid. Now here I'm just showing the structure to give a message that how that R group, what is the R group in these 20 amino acids. Here you can see that R group is H in case of glycine. That is an amino acid. All these are amino acids. Here R group is CH3. So if you see this R group, you will know that all these amino acids can be, we can describe them that they are non-polar amino acid. On the other hand, we have other amino acids which are polar amino acid, which we can see here. If we see their R, if we see their R group, we can say that they are the polar amino acid based on their R group. Now these amino acids, they are joined together. So far we have seen that we have 20 amino acids, and proteins are basically polymer of amino acids. And here what you are seeing, that how these amino acids are attached together. They are attached together by the bond which is called peptide bond. So COO minus of one amino acid, it is attached to the amino group of the second amino acid. With the release of water, the CO and NH, they forms a bond which is called peptide bond. So if you see this structure, On one end, you will be having NH3 plus, which is called N terminal of the protein. And on the second side, or the other end, you will be having COO minus, or the carboxyl group, which represents the C terminal end. Okay, so now you can imagine like amino acid 1, amino acid 2, amino acid 3. All these amino acids are joined by the peptide bond. But in the protein, but in the cell, the protein molecules are not a linear sequence. They are a highly folded structure, something like this. And what is responsible for such a folded structure? These are the different interactions which are possible in the protein molecule because of their R groups. Here you are seeing that because this particular R group is interacting with this, so hydrophobic interactions are possible. Hydrogen bonds, those are possible. Covalent bond or your ionic bond. So all these different kind of interactions which we know, those are possible in the protein, and they will lead to the formation of a highly folded structure. What is the importance of this structure? So remember the rule of thumb that structure basically it is the structure which determines the function. Okay, if somehow this structure of the protein it is gone, or you disrupt this structure, this protein molecule is not going to be functional. Okay, whenever like we have the genetic disorders, they happens because a particular protein structure is disrupted. I will discuss one of the example here in this context. Next term here is enzyme. Enzyme basically they are protein molecules. Some exceptions are there where RNA itself can act as a biocatalyst. But in this course, we are going to restrict this word enzyme as a biocatalyst to the proteins. Some of the proteins, they are enzymes. They act like a biocatalyst. Okay. And all the biochemical reactions which actually occurs in the cell, enzymes are part of them. I'm not discussing any particular enzyme here. Okay, so many enzymes are there in the cell. If I have to describe the enzyme by one word, it is the biocatalyst. What is the property? That they have a particular site so that a particular molecule can fit into that site, and following that reaction take place. This particular site is called active site. Okay, so reaction is going to take place here. One of the classical example I will say, like how our food gets digested, I will say. There are several enzymes which are present in our saliva. One of the enzyme is amylase. Here you are seeing like the carbohydrate, a big like a polymer which consists of multiple glucose units. So this particular enzyme is there in our saliva, which can break down the bond between these glucose molecules, and ultimately the glucose is released, and our body is going to utilize the glucose molecule to generate energy. Okay, so this slide reflects or represents the what is the importance of enzyme. We need enzyme for almost like all the biochemical reactions which are taking place. Enzymes are part of those reactions. This is a like an important concept here. Whenever in the biology or in this course you see any word which is ending with ase, okay, without any doubt you can say that it is an enzyme. For example, like just now you have seen amylase, it is ending with ase. So without any doubt you can say that amylase is an enzyme. Like here other enzyme names are mentioned, urease. So here again the word is ending with ase. Lactase, it is ending with ase. Okay, some exceptions are there, like here these names are just because of the historical reasons. Like I told, nucleic acid, still we are using the same name, nucleic acid. We know that it is present in other cell organelles, but still the same name is there due to historical reason. So pepsin, chymotrypsin, although they are just for your reference. Otherwise, we are going to stick to this nomenclature in our course. ASE based nomenclature. Another very good example of enzymes, it is there in context of the washing powder. Ariel. Ariel, it was the first detergent where they have introduced enzymes. It was a good concept because enzymes are needed to break down the sometimes on the cloth we have blood or egg or gravy, or if any protein molecule is there. So protease means these are the enzymes which can break down the protein part. We can have the carbohydrate also on the food on the cloth, so amylase which can break down the carbohydrate, or sometimes like fat or grease or oil is there on the cloth, so lipase will take care of that. Lipase can break down, can remove those fats if there any stain is there because of fat or grease, so lipase can remove that particular stain. This is all about, we have just discussed the terms which are used in this course. Now I am putting this slide again. What I want to tell you that suppose I'm giving you a DNA sequence, you should be able to tell me what is going to be the corresponding mRNA sequence if the DNA is transcribed. Following the transcription, what is going to be the RNA sequence if I give you the DNA sequence. So here you are seeing two strands are there. We know that DNA consists of two strands. So one strand is called coding strand, and the second one is called template strand. So rule is very simple here. What is going to be the mRNA sequence? It is going to be the same sequence as of the coding strand, which is the 5' to 3'. What is the definition of the coding strand? The 5' to 3' strand is called coding strand, and it is going to be exactly same to the RNA sequence with one difference. You can read the nucleotide. Instead of T, we have U in case of RNA. Otherwise, it is same. G, here also G, then C, A, G. Only thing is, in place of T, you have U. But remember this thing, this rule, that you have to take the 5' to 3' sequence. Okay, so that is going to be the RNA sequence. Now coming to the protein. Now we have learned how to get the RNA sequence based on the DNA sequence. Now how will you get the protein sequence? So basically, RNA, if you consider 3 nucleotide at a time, here the first 3 nucleotides are AUG. So the machinery which actually synthesizes protein, that is the characteristic of that machinery, that it is going to utilize these 3 nucleotides together, okay, to code for a particular amino acid. This is the table which represents, like here this table is simple. If you can read here, you are seeing the possible combination of 3 nucleotides. Okay, all possible combination of 3 nucleotides and respective amino acid. Nobody can remember this table. I also don't remember. If something has to be asked, this table has to be provided. So if you read triple U, corresponding to triple U, the amino acid name is phenylalanine. UUA, UUG, corresponding to these, the amino acid is going to be leucine. Okay, so according to this table, you can find out what is going to be the sequence, what is going to be the protein sequence. So if you read here three nucleotide, if you read the three nucleotide together, AUG, if you go to this table, AUG is responsible for synthesizing methionine. Okay, so that's why here it is written methionine. If you read three next nucleotide, it is CCG. If you go to the table and you find out CCG here, CCG is responsible for proline. So proline is written here. So in this way, you can determine the protein sequence, the amino acids which are making that particular protein. Okay, the combination of these three nucleotides together, it is called genetic code. Okay, combination of three nucleotide together, which is read by the cellular machinery to synthesize a protein, that is called genetic code. Okay, and it is like a proud to feel that the genetic code was cracked by an Indian scientist, by Dr. Hargovind Khurana. He got the Nobel Prize for that. He was the first person who cracked the genetic code. So it was his experiment. Because of that, his experiment, we know these things, that triple U is responsible for phenylalanine, or like here AUG, it is responsible for methionine. It was his experiment. Okay, I will stop here. Basically, I have covered
Sir,
all the terms. Yes.
sir, what is stop in the previous table?
Okay. Good point. So, like, stop means the protein synthesis has to be stopped somewhere, right? So let me explain. This is the RNA sequence, and correspondingly, like, you will be having an amino acid. Like, corresponding to AUG, you have methionine. Corresponding to CCG, you have proline. And this sequence is quite big. The cellular machinery should know that where actually the protein synthesis has to be stopped. So wherever, like in this RNA sequence, they encounter, the machinery encounter UAA or UAG or UGA. Okay, these three sets. Suppose here the machinery encounters UAA. These three nucleotides are here. So the protein synthesis is going to be stopped. Okay, so that is the meaning of stop here. That is a signal to the cell that the protein synthesis should stop at this particular point. Otherwise, like, it will be going on. This sequence is quite big. There should be some end. So for this particular protein, the machinery has to stop here. Corresponding to UAA, if you see in this table, there is no amino acid. Corresponding to UAG, there is no amino acid. UGA, there is no amino acid. So basically, these are the signals to the cell so that protein synthesis has to be stopped. That is the meaning of stop here.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So basically, I have described all the terms which were there, which were discussed in previous lecture. Okay. Gametes means the cells which are part of the reproduction system. Sperm cell or egg cells, they are called gamete. Mitosis and meiosis, that means the cell division. Okay, so based on this, now from the next lecture onwards, we can start the actual genetics part, like how Mendel used to do. Mendel, he's the father of genetics, and he used to do some breeding experiment on the plants. So we are going to discuss his experiments from the next lecture. Okay, any doubt in this lecture? This was a revision lecture basically.
No doubt, sir.
Okay. Okay, then see you people tomorrow. I will stop this session here. See you people tomorrow.